Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learner Podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Tom. We're very happy to have you here again.
Today's topic is very interesting and useful for real conversations.
Yes, we are going to talk about changes in daily life and how to express them clearly and naturally.
Talking about changes is very common in English.
People often ask questions like, "How has your life changed?" or "What is different now?"
So today, we will help you answer these questions in a more detailed and natural way.
Let's start with a basic structure.
You can say, I used to talk about the past.
For example, I used to wake up late.
Then you can compare it with the present.
Now, I wake up early because I have more responsibilities.
This is a simple but effective way to show change.
Now let's make your answer longer and more natural.
Instead of short sentences, try to explain your reasons and feelings.
For example, I used to wake up late when I was younger because I didn't have many responsibilities.
However, now I wake up early every day because I have school and other important tasks.
As a result, I feel more productive and organized.
This kind of answer sounds more natural and complete.
Now let's practice a conversation.
How has your daily routine changed?
Well, I used to wake up quite late, especially on weekends, because I didn't have a fixed schedule.
And what about now?
Now, I usually wake up early in the morning since I have more responsibilities, and I try to manage my time better.
How do you feel about this change?
I think it's a positive change because I feel more productive and have more time during the day.
That's a great answer.
Now let's talk about changes in habits.
You can say, in the past, I used to.
For example, in the past, I used to spend a lot of time playing games.
Then explain the present.
But now I spend more time studying and improving my skills.
You can also add a reason.
This is because I want to achieve my goals in the future.
Now let's practice.
What habit has changed in your life?
In the past, I used to watch a lot of TV every day. However, now I try to limit my screen time and focus more on reading and studying.
Why did you make that change?
Because I realized that I was wasting too much time, and I wanted to use my time more effectively.
That sounds like a very meaningful change.
Now let's talk about changes in personality.
You can say, I used to be. For example, I used to be very shy.
Then describe the present.
But now I am more confident when I speak with others.
You can also explain how the change happened.
This change happened because I practiced speaking more often.
Now let's practice. Have you changed as a person?
Yes, I think I have changed a lot. I used to be quite shy and didn't like speaking in front of people.
And what about now?
Now I feel more confident because I practice speaking every day and try to communicate more with others.
That's a very good improvement.
Now let's try a longer and more natural conversation.
How has your life changed in recent years?
Well, there have been many changes in my life. In the past, I used to have a very relaxed schedule and didn't think much about the future.
And what about now?
Now I am more focused on my goals. I spend more time studying and improving myself.
What caused this change?
I think it happened because I started to understand the importance of education and personal development.
How do you feel about these changes?
I feel very positive about them because they help me become a better and more responsible person.
Great! Now let's go deeper and learn how to talk about changes in a more detailed and natural way.
Yes, because in real conversations, people often ask follow-up questions and expect longer answers.
So you need to explain your ideas clearly, give reasons, and describe results.
Let's start with talking about changes over time.
You can use expressions like over time, gradually, or little by little.
For example, over time, I became more confident in speaking English.
Or, I gradually changed my daily habits as I became busier.
You can also extend your answer by explaining how the change happened.
For example, at first it was difficult, but little by little I got used to the new routine.
Now let's practice.
How did your habits change over time?
Well, over time, I started to wake up earlier and manage my time more carefully. At first, it was quite difficult, but gradually it became part of my daily routine.
That's a very natural and detailed answer.
Now, let's talk about reasons for change in a more developed way.
You can use expressions like because of, due to, the main reason is that, or this is mainly because.
For example, I changed my routine because of my school schedule.
A longer answer would be, I changed my routine mainly because I had more responsibilities and needed to manage my time better.
You can also add personal meaning.
For example, this change was important for me because it helped me become more disciplined.
Now let's practice.
Why did you change your daily routine?
Well, the main reason is that I became busier with my studies. Because of that, I needed to organize my time more effectively and focus on my priorities.
That sounds very clear and well explained.
Now, let's talk about results of change in more detail.
Yes, you should not stop at the reason. You should explain the result clearly.
You can use expressions like, as a result, because of that, or this has helped me too.
For example, as a result, I feel more productive.
A better answer would be, as a result, I feel more productive and I can complete my tasks on time.
You can also add feelings.
For example, this makes me feel more confident and less stressed.
Now let's practice. What happened after you changed your habits?
As a result, I became more organized and focused. Because of that, I can finish my work more efficiently and have more free time to relax.
That's a strong and complete answer.
Now let's talk about comparing the past and the present more clearly.
You can use compared to the past, compared to before, or in the past, but now.
For example, compared to the past, I am more disciplined.
A longer answer would be, compared to the past, I am much more disciplined and responsible, especially when it comes to managing my time.
Now let's practice.
How are you different now compared to before?
Compared to before, I am more focused on my goals. In the past, I didn't plan my time well, but now I try to use my time more effectively.
That sounds very natural and fluent.
Now let's try a longer and more developed conversation.
How has your lifestyle changed over time?
Well, over time, my lifestyle has changed quite significantly. In the past, I used to have a very relaxed routine and didn't think much about planning my day. However, now I follow a more structured schedule.
What caused this change?
The main reason is that I have more responsibilities now, especially with my studies. This is mainly because I want to achieve my goals and improve myself.
And what is the result of this change?
As a result, I feel more productive and organized. I can manage my time better, and this has also helped me reduce stress in my daily life.
That's a very clear, natural, and well-developed answer. Now let's move to a more advanced level and focus on speaking about changes in a more natural and extended way.
Yes, because in real conversations, you often need to give longer answers, include examples, and share personal experiences.
Let's start with talking about major changes in your life.
You can begin with, one of the biggest changes in my life is...
For example, one of the biggest changes in my life is becoming more responsible.
Then you can explain it further.
In the past, I didn't think much about my future, but now I focus more on my goals.
You can also add a reason and result.
This change happened because I started to understand the importance of education, and as a result, I feel more motivated.
Now let's practice.
What is one of the biggest changes in your life?
Well, one of the biggest changes in my life is that I have become more independent. In the past, I depended on others, but now I try to solve my own problems.
That's a very clear and meaningful answer.
Now let's talk about changes in your environment or surroundings.
Yes, sometimes people ask about changes in your city, school, or community.
You can say, there have been many changes in my city.
For example, there have been many changes in my city over the past few years.
Then give details.
For example, there are more buildings, better roads, and more public places.
You can also add your opinion.
I think these changes are positive because they improve our quality of life.
Now let's practice.
Have there been any changes in your area?
Yes, there have been several changes in my area. For example, new shops and roads have been built, and public transportation has improved.
How do you feel about these changes?
I think they are very beneficial because they make life more convenient.
That sounds like a well-developed answer.
Now let's talk about positive and negative changes.
Yes, not all changes are good, so you can express both sides.
You can say, on the one hand, but on the other hand.
For example, on the one hand, technology has made life easier, but on the other hand, it can be distracting.
This shows balanced thinking.
Now let's practice.
Do you think changes in your life are positive or negative?
I think most changes are positive because they help me grow. However, some changes can be challenging at first.
That's a very balanced answer.
Now let's talk about future changes.
Yes, you can talk about what you expect or hope will change.
You can say, in the future, I hope to.
Or, I expect that.
For example, in the future, I hope to become more confident in speaking English.
Or, I expect that my daily routine will become more organized.
Now let's practice.
What changes do you expect in the future?
In the future, I hope to improve my skills and become more confident. I also expect that I will have a more balanced lifestyle.
That's a clear and natural answer.
Now let's try a longer and more advanced conversation.
How has your life changed in recent years?
Well, there have been several significant changes in my life. One of the biggest changes is that I have become more focused on my goals.
What caused this change?
I think it happened because I started to realize the importance of planning for the future.
And how has this change affected you?
As a result, I have become more organized and disciplined. I also feel more confident about my future.
Do you think this change is positive?
Yes, definitely. Although it was difficult at first, it has helped me grow as a person.
Now let's bring everything together and practice full, natural conversations about changes in daily life.
Yes, now you can talk about past and present, give reasons, explain results, and sound more natural.
This will help you speak more fluently and confidently in real situations.
Let's start with a real-life conversation.
How has your daily routine changed recently?
Well, my daily routine has changed quite a lot. In the past, I used to wake up late and I didn't really plan my day.
And what about now?
Now I wake up much earlier and I follow a more structured schedule because I have more responsibilities and goals.
How do you feel about this change?
I think it is a very positive change because I feel more productive, organized, and I can manage my time better.
That's a strong answer.
Let's try another situation.
Have there been any changes in your habits?
Yes, there have been several important changes. For example, I used to spend a lot of time on my phone, especially social media.
What about now?
Now I try to limit my screen time and focus more on studying and self-improvement.
What caused this change?
The main reason is that I realized I was wasting too much time and I wanted to use my time more wisely.
And what is the result?
As a result, I feel more focused, less stressed, and I can complete my tasks more efficiently.
That sounds like a very meaningful improvement.
Now let's talk about a bigger life change.
What is one major change in your life?
One major change in my life is becoming more independent and responsible.
How did that change happen?
It happened gradually as I faced more challenges and started making my own decisions.
And how has it affected you?
It has made me more confident, mature, and better at solving problems in daily life.
That's a very impressive answer.
Now let's talk about changes in thinking and personality.
Yes, this is very common when people grow and gain experience.
How have you changed as a person?
Well, in the past, I used to be quite shy and I avoided speaking in front of others.
And now?
Now I feel much more confident because I practice speaking regularly and try to challenge myself.
What helped you change?
I think practice and experience helped me the most. Also, I started to believe in myself more.
That's a very natural answer.
Now let's talk about changes in goals and mindset.
Have your goals changed over time?
Yes, definitely. In the past, I didn't think much about my future.
And what about now?
Now I have clearer goals and I focus more on improving my skills and education.
Why is that important to you?
Because I want to build a better future and become more successful and independent.
That's a thoughtful response.
Now let's try a longer and more natural conversation.
Do you think people change a lot over time?
Yes, I strongly believe that people change a lot over time because of their experiences, environment, and responsibilities.
Can you give an example from your life?
Sure. In the past, I used to be shy and I didn't like speaking in public. However, now I feel much more confident because I practice every day.
What made this change happen?
I think it happens because I started to push myself out of my comfort zone and learn from mistakes.
Do you think this change is important?
Yes, absolutely. It has helped me communicate better and express my ideas more clearly.
That's a very strong answer.
Now let's give a final message to our listeners.
If you want to improve your English, talk about changes in your life as often as possible.
Use natural structures like I used to, now I, over time, and as a result.
Always try to add reasons, examples, and feelings to your answers.
Don't worry about mistakes. Focus on communicating your ideas clearly.
The more you practice, the more natural and confident you will become.
If you enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like, share, and keep learning English with us every day.
Thank you so much for listening and practicing with us.
See you in the next episode.